visitors from all over the world. It shows the vibrancy and attractiveness of Hong Kong as an events capital of Asia. It also helps boost the catering and retail and hotel industry and so on. We've strengthened liaison with different trades and industries. As the Chief Executive said, we will continue to work hard as the director. We hope that the different sectors can turn footfall into capital and make use of all the mega events. We thank the central government for expanding the individual visa schemes to another 8 mainland cities to help inject impetus to the city. We strive to bring new and exciting experiences to visitors and realize the concept of tourism is everywhere in Hong Kong. It is expected that there will be 214 mega events for the entire year. There are over 100 events for both the first half and second half of the year. We want to publish the calendar of mega events in Hong Kong for the second half of this year because we want the members of different trades to be prepared to make use of these mega events to boost businesses. Compared with the first half of this year, we have different types of mega events covering different areas, including MITES events. There are 42 of them in the second half of the year. There are arts and culture and creative events. There are some 20 of them. Also, mega events related to finance, economy, and so on. There are 13 of them. For carnivals, festivals, and celebrations, there will be 11 of them. The distribution of different types of mega events for the second half of the year is comparable to that of the first half of the year. There are different types of mega events for people to choose from and participate in. There will be a number of major and new mega events in the second half of the year. There will be more than 15 brand new events. There will also be events that were held in the past that got really good feedback. In July, the Cultural, Arts and Creative Events Fund will support and subsidize a whole new event called Chinese Kung Fu and Dance Carnival. It will bring together over 1,000 martial arts members, and there will be many events and shows to be staged. Also, at the M+ Museum, there will be a first IM Pei Live is Architecture exhibition. A lot of the exhibits will be displayed for the first time. In November, there will be the first Hong Kong Performing Arts Expo. There will be negotiations among the trade. Also, the art events were very popular in the first half of the year, and again in the second half there will be design related to mega events. Starting from the early September, there will be the center stage, and towards the end of November there will be a new flagship event known as the Hong Kong Fashion Design Week. For sports events, there will be 2 major sports events, including 2024 World Lacrosse Women's U20 Championship as well as 2024 WBSC Baseball 5 World Cup. They are events under the M-Mark scheme, and they will be held for the first time in August and December respectively this year. For those who love sports, they can attend Trans Lansdowne by UTMB as well as Oxfam Trail Walker. In December, for those who love long runs, they can take part in the Hong Kong Streetathon. In terms of festival celebrations and carnivals, this year marks the 75th anniversary of the founding of the PRC. Starting from September, the LCSD will hold exhibitions showcasing the achievements of our country. Also, during Mid-Autumn Festival, there will be the Tai Hang Fire Dragon Dance. This year, the parade route will be extended. We will also see the Hong Kong Winterfest as well as New Year countdown celebrations and so on. In the second half of this year, there will be events showcasing the appeal of Hong Kong as the food paradise. They include Wine and Dine Festival as well as the Asia's 50 Best Bar Ceremony, which will be held for the second time this year. The Wine and Dine Festival to be held in December, well, last year it attracted over 140,000 visitors. In terms of fintech, economy and I&T events, The Hong Kong FinTech Week as well as the Global Financial Leaders Investment Summit will be held respectively in October and November. We will see financial leaders from all over the world holding in-depth discussions in these events. Also, we successfully secured SmartCon 2024 to be held for the first time in Hong Kong. This shows Hong Kong's status as an international INT hub. In terms of MICE events, we will see the holding of the Super Terminal Expo in November for the first time. There will be exchanges on transportation and airports and so on during the expo. There will also be signature events. For instance, the Hong Kong Book Fair, Anycom and Games Hong Kong. There will also be jewelry, watch and clock, as well as electronics exhibitions. These are one of the largest procure platforms in Asia. Mega events bring about economic growth. We believe that approximately 1.7 million tourists will be brought to Hong Kong through these mega events. They will bring about $7.2 billion of spending. They will also bring about $4.3 billion to the Hong Kong economy. The number of mega events in the second half of this year will be comparable to that of the first half, but we'll see a lot more tourists in the second half of this year, and therefore we will see a greater positive impact on our economy. Earlier this year, in a press conference, I mentioned that for a period of time, we yielded results through the outdoor venues we had. For instance, we had Wonderland in West Kowloon, which can accommodate 8,000 people. In Wan Chai, we have a new venue that can house about 10,000 people. These two are outdoor venues. Now, coming up, there will be large-scale venues in Hong Kong to be commissioned. For instance, the Kai Tak Sports Park, it will be commissioned this next year. It is of an area of about 28 hectares. There will be a main stadium with 50,000 seats. There is a air-conditioned venue with retractable canopy. We can see different creative and leisure events to be held there. There are also ancillary facilities including eateries and shops. The Kai Tak Sports Park is a new venue. People care about whether there is enough transportation facilities nearby so that spectators can leave the venue smoothly, and people also care about whether there are enough ancillary facilities to enhance visitors' experience. In this regard, the SAR government understands the public's concern. We also attach a lot of importance to these. There will be cross-departmental coordination, and this will be led by our Chief Secretary for Administration, Mr. Eric Kwok. There will be announcements in due course.
I'd also like to talk about 3 brand new facilities. The first one is in Ma On San, Sai Sa Sports Park, and the Sai Sa Golf Park. And this is a privately operated venture, but they will also work with our schools, NGOs, non-profit organizations. They provide a platform for sports-related activities to promote Hong Kong's sports culture. So this will take up some 1.3 million square feet, including indoors and outdoors, and they can accommodate a venue of 1,000 people, and they will be operating starting from next month. They can accommodate a lot of activities such as soccer, lacrosse, tennis, golf, and there are also water-based activities, yachting, rock climbing, and this is the first time that Hong Kong has such a facility of such a scale. With Airport Terminal, Sky City, they have a facility called 11 Skies, and they will have some 800 retail restaurant outlets. They also have a 570,000 square foot immersive indoor entertainment facility. This will be the largest of its type in Hong Kong. The Sky City facility will operate in phases by the fourth quarter of next year, and we will have the first autonomous driving facility where Dongchong, MTR, and Sky City can be linked together. And I want to talk about Ma Wan Park Phase 2. This will be an arts cultural district and a new tourist site. Phase 2 will take up 460,000 square feet. It currently has a village setting. It will be renovated into a architectural site. Local artists can host different arts cultural activities, so the public and tourists can visit. They will also have catering and restaurant facilities. Now we expect that this will come into operation in the fourth quarter or slightly later. They will operate in phases. So we believe that it will complement Ma Wan Phase 1. You're familiar with that. It has a lot of edutainment facilities in Phase 1, and I think it should complement each other. So Hong Kong will have new hardware related to tourism, arts and culture, so we will have a whole series of good news. So I'll now hand over the time to my colleague. Thank you, Financial Secretary. Now, Sports Culture Tourism Bureau has been promoting events in Hong Kong, mega events, help promote sports, tourism, and culture. So we take these opportunities to attract people from around the world, and we want the tourist activities to stimulate sports and tourism, cultural activities. We also want to enhance the audience base in Hong Kong. So we have been helping mega events in Hong Kong. So in March, we have a complex con as an example. So when we heard about that the organizer wanted to find a venue in Asia, Sports Culture Tourism Bureau had contacted them and provided relevant resources and such as visa arrangement, promotion, and we also provided a very flexible environment such that the event could be held in Hong Kong. We also provided funding through a cultural activities fund, and this will be its first time being hosted in March, and we will have a 3-day event attracting cultural enthusiasts, and we had visitors totaling more than 32,000, and it was very encouraging. That also helps consolidate Hong Kong's position as a cultural venue. Now, just now we heard from the FS, and let me add that Hong Kong hosted for the first time the Arts and Culture exhibition. We anticipate some foreign visitors, between 800 to 1,000 of them, and we also have some 500 local artists that will attend, and we expect some 30,000 audience members can participate. Now, this will be a new platform to showcase arts and cultural products, and we will also have opportunity for cultural exchanges, and we also will be hosting for the first time in the GBA area. We will be inviting people from the arts and cultural industry to host their products and their exhibition. So we will have different types of arts products that will encompass Chinese culture. We also have a Saikong event where it is focusing on local innovative ideas, tourism, and cultural events. Now, this is very popular. The Saikong Harbor Festival will allow tourists to enjoy the natural landscape of Saikong. They will be able to explore the natural landscape, and tourists can have a deeper understanding of Hong Kong and the characteristics. So whether they are domestic tourists or overseas tourists, we believe that together they can explore Hong Kong's unique Eastern and Western cultural heritage, and we will be able to further utilize Hong Kong's resources. So the government had previously had organized a competition, and we received some 700 applications, including a lot of in-depth exploration ideas and routes, and we were able to come down with a final list of 30 routes. And we have traditional cultural heritage elements in these submissions, and we will encourage the industry to develop more unique products. So in order to fully utilize tourism's benefits, we will strengthen our connection with mega events, such that mega events can help tourism, the hotel industry, catering, and we want to bring about more foot traffic, and we believe the industry can make reference to these mega events. They can plan ahead of time. They can plan promotion schemes and related products, so tourists can have a better experience, and they can help tell the Hong Kong story. And in order to have foreign tourists experience a welcome stay in Hong Kong, and we want them to feel our hospitality. So we now have a campaign to promote politeness, and it will cover the 18 districts in Hong Kong. It will cover different industries such as logistics and so on. So in the tourism cultural industry, we will be working with the tourism board to do some promotion work, and we will also utilize their network to help promote Hong Kong. We will utilize the 18 districts' resources and conduct promotion. Education is very important, so we will be working with schools to promote tourism. We want to start education our young children to the importance of being polite. And I had met with the mainland counterparts, and I met with Mr. Sha Baolong. He is very concerned about Hong Kong's development, and also provided a lot of feedback on helping our tourism sector. So I've shared my views with the Tourism Bureau, and we want to work together to promote Hong Kong as being a tourist destination. So moving on, I'll hand the time over to Tourism Bureau.
Now over to Mr. Dane Chang from the Tourism Board. The government set up the cross-departmental group, and the Tourism Board, starting from this March, also set up our own mega events development division to be the first point of contact. When we get information from organizers, we make preliminary assessments and help organizers look for venues. When needed, we invite relevant bureaus and departments from the government, as well as members of different trades and sectors, as well as experts, to provide opinions to us. We make assessment and selection based on 3 key considerations. We mentioned these considerations in the previous press conference. We take into account whether the event is attractive and can ensure public participation. Public participation is key for mega events. If these mega events are popular among the public, we can attract visitors. Also, we consider whether these mega events can help build a positive image for Hong Kong. Thirdly, we look at whether these mega events can help demonstrate Hong Kong's strategic positions. For instance, can these mega events display Hong Kong's status as an international hub or an East-West center for international cultural exchange? Well, we take into account all these factors. Over the past 2 months or so, there have been many organizers that approached us, and we also take a proactive approach to reach out to different organizers. These organizers have offices in Hong Kong. There are also organizers that have intermediaries or agents in Hong Kong. And through video conferences, we brief these organizers about our work at the Mega Events Development and Advancement Division. For organizers that are interested in holding events in Hong Kong, over half of them are related to sports events. 5 of the events have been confirmed, and our goal is to have 4 of these major events to be held in Hong Kong, and they cover ball games, tournaments, entertainment, shows, as well as arts and cultural performances. These are not covered in the statistics presented by Mr. Michael Wong just now. We will make announcements in due course. As mentioned, 4 of the mega events will be held within this year, and most of them have never been held here. Some of them are international sports tournaments that have never been hosted in Asia. There are sports games and competitions with over 50 years of history which are well known around the world. We have experiences in holding this type of events in Hong Kong. We are also preparing to have a large-scale European exhibition to be held in Hong Kong. Some of the mega events have broken the Guinness World Record, but as mentioned, we will make announcements in due course in relation to the hosting of these events. If we decide that these events deserve our support, we will talk to the organizers about what kind of support we should offer. We mainly put in place 5 key measures. That is, we assess and review the events, we help look for venues, we conduct site inspections, and we provide our advice on how the events should be held. Of course, we also offer help in promoting the events. Organizers of these mega events are most concerned whether there are suitable venues in Hong Kong. They are also keen to know whether the government can offer support to them. Some of them, they need help with licenses, for instance. We will continue to assess the feasibility of having different mega events to come to Hong Kong. We realize that after the setting up of this division, many organizers find that there is a point of contact through which they can reach out to us. Not all organizers that reached out to us decided to hold the events in Hong Kong, but within our purview, we help organizers to host the events in Hong Kong. We will continue to work closely with different government departments and organizers in the bid to attract more large-scale events to be held in Hong Kong so that we can create maximum economic benefits for the city. Now we open the floor for questions. Please identify yourself as well as the organization you represent. Please limit yourself to 3 questions. The lady over there in green, please. Good morning. I'm from TMHK. I have 3 questions. The first one is that the chief executive mentioned this morning that there will be 210 mega events that can bring about $7.2 billion of spending to Hong Kong. Have you made an estimate of whether the spending brought by the events to be held in the second half of this year will be bigger? In terms of visitor numbers, will it exceed the expected 46 million? Also, we see that most of the mega events to be held in the second half of this year are exhibitions. In the first half of this year, we had, for instance, the Inter-Miami exhibition match. We also had the Luminous Ovoids exhibitions, which allowed public participation. How come there are fewer of such events in the second half of this year? Is it because you think that these events are less attractive, or is it because after the Lionel Messi saga, you are being more careful in inviting celebrities to Hong Kong? Also, how many of these events are sponsored by the Mega Arts and Cultural Events Fund? Do you have an estimate of how much the government has to fork out for these events? Compared with the $7.2 billion, is the money spent by the government worth it? Thank you for your questions. Let me answer your last question first. In terms of how much the government is spending on these mega events, as mentioned by Mr. Dane Chang, oftentimes organizers do not need financial support. They need crowd management support as well as venue support. In terms of financial support, we have the Mega Ace Fund, we have the M-Mark scheme. We see the amount of money spent for each event after the completion of the event. So as of today, we don't have the total amount of spending, but we will make known to the public the amount we spent. Compared to the $7.2 billion of total spending, or the $4.8 billion, well, we give out about $100 million through the Mega Ace Fund. So compared to the revenue we generate, it's definitely value for money. In terms of the types of events to be held in the second half of this year, we will see a variety of events. As you could see from the pie chart on the PowerPoint presentation, the types of events that we see in the second half of the year is comparable to that of the first half of this year. We don't think there has to be 100%, the activities don't have to be 100% identical. Well, we will see rainy seasons starting from July. So there may be fewer outdoor events because the weather will affect whether the events could be held smoothly. There were outdoor sports events in February and March, and there may be less of them in the second half of this year.
The statistics, we can provide that later because we don't have the finalized figures. It's May right now. We had some events starting in the beginning of the year, and they do not end till the middle of the year. So if you want the statistics, the breakdown, we can do that and we can provide it later. I can tell you right now, we believe that in the second half of the year, we will attract more tourists because some of the mega events are very popular. We are working hard. If the trend is good, if we can keep up the trend, we can meet a target of 50 million. But the whole society will have to work hard towards that, but we're positive. I'd like to ask, you mentioned that in the second half of the year, there are some popular events. So what events are those? Why do you think they are popular? And how can we have large foot traffic and also have more spending? How will you communicate with the industry? And recently, there's been a popular movie, Walled City. So will you preserve some of the set scenes and use it as a tourist attraction? Will you be able to utilize our Town City Walled Park? And I also want to ask about the pyrotechnics and the drone activities. There is some feedback saying that it creates a lot of smoke. And will you also consider recruiting designers for the pyrotechnics? Well, I'll have Mr. Ching respond on popular events. I'll answer the other questions. Attracting foot traffic and having more spending. Now, if we look at a recent example, we do have tourist agencies, not just mainland, but also overseas tour groups. We encourage them. So whether it's the Tourism Bureau or Cultural Sports Tourism Bureau, we coordinate our efforts. For example, we communicate with retail outlets and hotels. We want to disclose our information as soon as possible. If you look at the first PC in the first half of the year, and up to now, we have 100+ events, and we believe this trend will continue in the second half of the year. So we will be able to convert foot traffic into actual spending. So as the CE had said, everybody has a role to play. The government will coordinate efforts. Now, if we're talking about commercial events or products and services, we rely on the private sector. So Kowloon Walled City, the set has been dismantled, but they did not throw it away. Can we convert the scene, and can we have a permanent installation? Well, I think we can have further discussion and report back later. And I'll now defer to my colleague. Well, from the tourism perspective, the second half of the year is typically the high season. After the summer, we have the cooler weather, and we can have large commercial business events in the second half of the year. So even though the number of events seems similar, but the number of participants will be much larger, so the economic impact will be more significant. And in our first press conference, we mentioned that one area we want to do better is communicating with the tourism sector, with the hotels, catering establishments. We can have advanced planning. That is, we can provide information about mega events. So we won't be doing that every 2 or 3 months. We have a website where it's updated regularly. We communicate with the different sectors, how to do a better promotion, a better packaging. For example, we see some events, some hotels will have complimentary packages such that when they have this advanced information, they can complement our efforts. We will continue these efforts. And you mentioned pyrotechnics, fireworks. On 1st of May, the event, it was satisfactory even with the weather conditions, but the humidity level was very high. It was some 90% humidity, and there was a bit of smoke in certain areas. Regarding the drone display, we see a new element and design. It's very popular. And moving on till 10th of June, Monday, the Dragon Boat Festival, we have another drone display. And on 15th of June, we have a fireworks display along Wan Chai Promenade. So we see that the public and our tourists are accustomed to seeing the pyrotechnics and drone displays at a certain area. So depending on the festivities, we might change our plans. So I'll keep it a secret, and I hope you can visit when it comes along. Cable TV, I want to follow up on the second half of the year events. Will you invite international sports stars or celebrities? Now, did the Lionel Messi event lead to more caution on the government's side? Will there be measures in place to prevent a repeat of the Messi incident? Now, you talked about attracting more foot traffic and more spending. Will you communicate with the mainland? They have more spending power. Will they receive a tax rebate? I'll answer your second question, and Mr. Young can answer the first. We're in talks right now. Mainlanders, when they return to the mainland, if they spend more than $5,000, they incur some tax liabilities. We're talking with our mainland counterparts, and I cannot disclose the details of these discussions, and I hope I can report back to you when it's finalized. The first question regarding mega events, we have always been very cautious, especially if it involves government resources. We need to be extra careful. Of course, in February this year, the soccer match involving Lionel Messi did not play. We saw that the government's position, we felt that Messi organizer needed to disclose their communication. The government did not provide any assistance or subsidy. So in our future events, I think everybody, not just the government, all event organizers will have to be careful about the different scenarios and be ready for these scenarios. Now, it's not just because of Messi. We learn from the experience, and in culture, tourist events in MMARC, we are consolidating this experience and trying to do a better job. Now, celebrities or large events, we hope to host these events, and if you look at the second half of the year, we do have a lot of international sports events hosted in Hong Kong, and the Tourism Bureau last night had issued some information regarding concerts. You can see we have many different singers. They will hold some 80 shows, and you can see that we want to host large concerts, mega events. This intention or ambition is still in place, and we need to also respect business considerations. But whenever government resources are involved, we have to be very careful.
提問啦，開邊嗰排第三行白色外套位女士，第三行前邊嗰個係。
Hi, some English questions from TMHK. So can you recap in English, how will the mega events in the second half of this year attract more visitors to visit Hong Kong compared to the first half of this year? And also, will the government consider to invite any sports star or famous singer to come to Hong Kong to visit, despite Messi's no-show earlier this year? And so Mr. Yan has been in the film festival in France and as witnessing that our movie Kowloon Wall City has actually gained a lot of support from the foreigners. So how will the government consider incorporate this film into the mega events? Thank you.
Yes, I think I'll take the first and third question, and Kevin will take the second. With regard to events, actually, if you look at the number of events taking place in the first half of this year is actually more or less similar to the number of events taking place in the second half. But in terms of scale, we noted that some of the events in the second half actually has a much larger capacity in terms of attracting visitors. And therefore, we believe that the number of visitors coming to Hong Kong for those mega events will actually be bigger than those in the first half. But in terms of the spread, as regards, for example, category, the distribution in the first half and second half is actually more or less similar. So that's the first question. The third question with regard to the set used in the movie Walled In. Discussions are taking place. The set has been dismantled, but it's still there. They've been keeping it rather good conditions. So discussions are ongoing as to whether they can let us have some part of the set, and it will be put up for display at a suitable location in Hong Kong. So once those discussions conclude, we'll let you know. The second question I'll refer to Kevin.
Yes. I think it's always our intentions to attract mega events, be it sports events or concerts or other entertainments. These are always our target to attract these mega events to come to Hong Kong, and so as to as a sort of entertainment for our local residents as well as to attract tourists. And in attracting these events, of course, if there are some very famous sports stars or singers, that of course will also raise the profile of these events and may also attract some of their fans to come along. But I think no matter what happens in the past, it will not stop us from trying to bid for more events to come to Hong Kong. And for the football game where Messi did not show up, I think, as we explained in many occasions, we think the organizer as well as the football player should come out to explain why he did not show up. And I do not believe that it's a very common phenomenon that some of the stars, players, did not show up in what they have promised to appear in those games. So we are still trying very hard to attract more events to come to Hong Kong.
好，下一個提問，最後嗰行中。
We'll take the last question. The lady in the middle.
South China Morning Post. So far, how do you review the performance of mega events so far on retail sales, visitor arrivals, and GDP, etc.? And also, actually, what is the perimeter of mega events? Because it seems now everything falls into this category, and how do you define it? And And the last question is, do you have any KPIs for yourself? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll take that. In terms of numbers, I will repeat it in English. For this year, mega events will attract to Hong Kong about 1.7 visitors. And they will bring to Hong Kong, in terms of total receipt, the amount of money they spend in Hong Kong, about 7.2 billion Hong Kong dollars. In terms of value added, they will bring to Hong Kong 4.3 billion dollars. Let me go on. I think in looking at the benefits from mega events, it is important that we do not just look at the figures. The figures are very positive. They show us that what we've been doing are worth our efforts. But I think for these mega events, they're important to reflect Hong Kong's status as an international city. I think in my first press conference, I said very clearly that one of the values of these events is that they attract people to come to Hong Kong so that they can see with their own eyes what's been happening in Hong Kong, how vibrant we are, how proactive we are, how friendly our people are, and how safe our streets are. So those values cannot be measured simply in monetary terms. And also they make life in Hong Kong that much more enjoyable. Do not forget, the mega events are not just for visitors. The mega events are there for our own people, for Hong Kong people as well. And as demonstrated by all the events, if you look at the participation, for most of the events, actually the majority of participants are Hong Kong people. So that's my first point. In terms of KPIs, again, I think I've said that in the first press conference. We were looking at, for example, to have some KPIs regarding the number of mega events that would take place in Hong Kong in a certain time period. But if I just use the current figures, it will not be that fair because those events have been arranged. And I said that we are looking forward to having some concrete KPIs in 2025. So in a year's time, when we have more experience about the operation of our mega events arrangement and setup, we will have those KPIs.
下一個提問。
Next question. The gentleman over there in the third row. I'm from Ming Pao. I have 3 questions. I have a question for CSTB. After the Lionel Messi saga, you mentioned that you will review the Mega AIDS Events Fund or the MMARC scheme. Will you include some clauses in the agreements to protect the organizers of Hong Kong? Also, Christian Dior mentioned that there will be a fashion event to be held in Hong Kong. Did you study the reasons why the event was postponed? Does it have to do with the Messi incident? Also, I have a question for the tourism board. Just now, DFS mentioned that there will be some new outdoor venues as well as indoor venues. Are organizers interested in these new venues? Do you think these venues are attractive to them? Another question for DFS. Many people suggest changing the makeshift facilities in Kai Tak into sports venues. Would you make use of the sites there for tourism purposes? Do you have any directions in terms of converting these makeshifts for other purposes?
I'll answer towards the end because it's not directly related. So Kevin can answer your first 2 questions. We support sports cultural tourism events and we have a fund to deal with it. Well, we have to promote sports culture and tourism in Hong Kong, and we also need to promote mega events. So how can we fully utilize these resources to achieve maximum impact? As I explained just now, whenever we spend government resources, we have to be very careful. So, do we need more safety precautions? Yes, we need to consider that. Now, you mentioned organizer obligations. Well, the government should not be helping organizers to provide some extra safeguards. Now, when you look at the concerts or other mega events, these are commercial events. They have to be responsible, and they need to handle all the coordinating events. Now, we have heard about Dior's fashion exhibition in Hong Kong. Now, they have explained they had decided to withdraw from the event for their own reasons, and we have not heard any further from them, but we do welcome different brands, different events, hosting events in Hong Kong, and when feasible, we will provide assistance, including the Tourism Bureau mentioned helping them find venues, intergovernmental assistance. So different brand names and events will receive our fullest assistance. So when we communicate with organizers, whether it is a mega event, exhibition, or other event, the venue is an important consideration. So everybody is happy to see that we have new facilities in operation. For example, Kai Tak Sports Park. It will commence operations in phases next year. It's one of the popular venues. Now, other venues attract a lot of interest as well. So even if not in mega events, a lot of concerts, musical shows, they are not only interested in large venues, they are interested in all kinds of venues. So we see the event organizers, why are they attracted to Hong Kong? It's because our population are an affluent population. So they're not just targeting tourists, they are eyeing the local population. Plus our geographic location, we can attract the Greater Bay Area population. There's 88 million people in the GBA. They can travel to Hong Kong very conveniently. We have our airport. It is a very efficient network. So that's why they are interested in having their event in Hong Kong. We'll take the last question.
想回答翻有
In the interest of time, we'll take the last question, and afterwards the FS will respond to the question about community facilities. Yes, the lady over there. Good afternoon, I'm from Commercial Radio. Mr. Wong, you mentioned earlier this year that there will be a list of mega events that we would like to bring to Hong Kong. Are you seeing good progress? What kind of mega events that you mentioned just now are on the list? On promoting mega events, the West Kowloon Cultural District Authority has a role to play. When will the government make a decision on the financial plan for WKCDA? It was mentioned that the WKCDA would have to close the museums for some days a week in order to cut down on expenditure. I'll take the first question, and for the others, I will ask Mr. Kevin Yeung to respond. On the question about the WKCDA, well, for mega events, there are some 40 of them that we are having discussions about. There are about 4 to 5 mega events that will be held this year, but we will only be able to make an announcement after the events are confirmed, and some of these events are not included in the original list. We approach the organizers for some of these mega events. If you look at MITE events or conference and exhibition related events, the tourism board is not the only point of contact. Some organizers might reach out to the Trade Development Council. This is because the TDC has a lot of experiences. In the past, we asked organizers to approach us, but now we take a proactive approach. But as mentioned before, we cannot disclose too much information because this is confidential and it has to do with competition with our rivalries. For the question about WKCDA, well, we see the effort they made to help promote arts and culture in Hong Kong. It is a very popular tourist destination in Hong Kong now, I mean the West Kowloon Cultural District. On the financial position, we have conducted some internal studies and discussions. We've been making progress. I believe that the management of the WKCDA is aware of that financial position. The WKCDA is responsible for operating the West Kowloon Cultural District. In terms of how the cultural district should be operated, how resources should be made use of to bring about maximum benefits, this is a duty of the WKCDA. On how to ensure that the WKCDA or the cultural district operates smoothly, this is a question for the West Kowloon Cultural District Authority. If they need any support from the SAR government, we will definitely take it seriously. We have had talks with them about their financial plan, and we have made some progress. We will announce the details in appropriate juncture. On the question from Meng Pao, for quarantine facilities that are not in use, they're actually on standby, especially for facilities that are quite mature. For the facility in Chengyi, there are no toilets. We built the facilities in a hurry within 7 days. Some people said it was a miracle. For the Penny Bay's facilities or the facilities in Kai Tak, there are toilets inside. When we think about how we can use the facilities in different ways, we have to take into consideration different factors. We have to take a preventive approach, so we're thinking whether we should preserve some of these facilities. We have to take into account the long-term planning, the future development, as well as the nearby transportation facilities when we think about how to use these facilities in different ways. For instance, the facilities in the Loop, as mentioned, apart from using them as an emergency hospital, we are going to use it as the phase 1 of our identity park, and the construction works is underway. And for the one in Chengyi, we're using it as a youth development base. For the other facilities, when details are ready, we will give more information to the public. We will also carefully consider the views suggested by the DAB. Thank you. That's the end of the press conference.